Yeah, here we go. My bad.
Sure.
How about an individual whose friends had just been gunned down 3 days prior? Could you envision a situation where that individual would want to rent a car so no one knows what he's driving?
I'm just expecting
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay. And tinted windows. You said tinted windows can be used to commit crimes because you can't see in as well. Could conceal an identity.
That's correct. That's what I said, yes.
By that same logic, couldn't tinted windows keep people who are trying to kill you off of your scent, off of knowing what you're driving?
Yes.
Especially 3 days after they have murdered 2 of your friends in cold blood?
Sure.
Could that be another reason why someone would rent a car?
Yes.
Could that be a reason why someone would rent a car and break a rental agreement and put tint on those windows?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. This warrant that you took out, sir, for the rest of Mr. Stillwell, you charged him with murder, the murder of Shamal Drinks, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you specifically charged him with the shooting of Shamal Drinks, correct?
I'd have to look at the wording, but I think he used the word partaking.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
We're looking at a copy of the warrant that you took out, assist you in remembering the wording.
Sure.
Grab the wrong one.
I peeped the play, y'all. I peeped the play.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yo,
And just
DA
refresh
had
your
an informant.
recollection, and if after your recollection is refreshed, if you
Viverito and them had an informant. So when the 2 dudes got smoked on the highway, somebody that was playing both sides lined Shamel drink up for this, so Viverito and them could get what they needed to take this home.
You know,
You see the play? That's how he got served up like that. So we wonder how this chain of events could even go down. It's the law. And you see with guys like Woody, but somebody else though. You see what I'm saying? You see the play? They got this big fish. We need something for it. So when these 2 dudes get smoked, they waiting for some type of back and forth, right? So we got a guy. So look, why would Shell Kells post online a picture of him with Shamel Drinks to make him hot? And then now the DAs and them figured that it was him because it alluded to it in the social media. They already was going to court that included social media posts, y'all. So everybody know by this time period not to do that. So that's talent. Just to let you know. Yes, let me tell you some gangster. Yeah, let me put you on. All right, look. So the internet and the streets already knew about dry telling when you put on the internet something about what me and you got going on. It's dry telling. It's been stamped. All right. The If gang then did numerous times along the way. So let's say they was green in 2015. They ain't know no better. 2022. So Shell Cows posted, mind you, I told you, his jacket say he shouldn't have been on the streets. Mind you, I told you that. You could go look for yourself. Pay attention. Look, I'm not saying he the one gave him the drop, but that's look. You see what happened at that gas station just now. I don't trust homes with that that Jimmy that Jimmy had on his head. Straight up, y'all. But peep game. I really think an informant that needed to get off of something used his credibility to say, yo, I know who, and I could get him here. And y'all notice the gas stations is the lineup spot. What a coincidence. But on this one, Shannon actually walked in because they thought it was going to be a smooth play. I'm just speculating and going off of what the state's accusations are based on right now.
Could look up.
Sure.
Don't mind me, though.
Yes.
Okay, and in fairness, you did say participate.
Yes.
In the warrant, but you said by shooting Shamel Drinks.
That's correct.
Okay, on 3/14/2022.
That's correct.
Okay, so specifically, your allegation in that warrant is that Mr. Stillwell was the shooter of Shamel Drinks, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we've talked about some of the evidence that you think you have on this case. Let's just call it what it is. I know that we've been referring to the man in the pink hat, okay, or the man with the slime or die shirt. You have BP video from the corner of Windsor and Fulton Street, correct?
Yes.
Clear video.
It's very good, yeah.
And it shows my client wearing a Pink Floyd hoodie and a pink hat. And it shows Mr. Quamarvius Nichols, correct?
Yes.
And it shows Mr. Miles Farley, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And you had that video, and then you also have these rental records of renting the car on that day. Now, let me ask you this. Is there any indication at all, if we're talking about planning something, is there any indication at all that anyone would have known that Shamel Drinks was going to show up at the gas station at that time?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay. Do you know where Shamel Drinks was coming from?
No.
Okay. And then you have video from the FedEx, correct?
I do.
So you didn't do a proper investigation to investigate where he was coming from to actually give you a motive. Because, I mean, where a person was and who they spoke to beforehand, the last people to see him alive, especially if his girlfriend testified that he had just left from her. So you didn't go to speak with her?
Okay, and that shows Windsor Street.
Yes.
And you maintain that that video shows that my client in his white Audi pulled up next to Shamel Drinks' car.
Yes.
And you maintain that that video shows that my client shot Shamel Drinks.
Participated, yes.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, your theory is that my client was driving.
Yes.
Okay. And your theory is that the shot was fired out of the driver's side of the car.
Oh, the Audi, yes.
Yeah. Your theory is that Shannon Stillwell was in that white Audi and shot Shamel Drinks at that stoplight.
Yes.
And your contention is that video, that FedEx video, will back that up, ultimately.
That's my conclusion from my investigation, yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go back to where this investigation started. Evening of 3/14/22.
Okay.
Okay? And you see this red car with this gentleman inside who's sadly deceased, correct?
Yes.
And you arrived before the body was removed, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Now, this is your crime scene. I know that you weren't the first one there, were you?
No.
Okay, but this is your crime scene.
Yes.
So you're in charge of knowing the status of the crime scene and where everything was at the time it was first discovered.
Ultimately, yes, I am.
Okay. So, let me ask you. The Nissan Versa, the red Nissan Versa, before anyone came to the assistance, before Mr. Cheeseborough showed up, was that car still on?
When I was there, I don't remember it being running, no.
No, I'm asking, since it's your crime scene.
Yo, what's the importance of the car running and not running, y'all? I ain't gonna lie. I ain't caught that part yet. Leave a comment. Let me know.
When the first people showed up, to your understanding, it's your investigation.
I wasn't.
Speculation calls for hearsay.
Is he the lead detective?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, overruled on the speculation, and would your report contain all of that?
It doesn't. If the car was on or not. I know the lights were on. As far as the car was running, the door was open when I got there.
Whoa.
That's the next thing I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not
Sounds
certain.
like he doesn't know.
So you're not certain. Okay, so the car was running. Or is
Obviously-
that what you're not certain of?
Obviously, it was running when he pulled into the stoplight. When I got there, I don't recall if it was running. I know the lights were on, the doors open. I don't recall if the car was still running or not.
When you got there, the lights of the car.
Where's the body cam footage of the first responding officer? Surely this would be an event that would be on body cam, right? So we don't actually have the footage of the first person responding. Or did the witness that responded before that tell us that they turned the car off? It shouldn't be hard to figure this out. It's not a long chain of command here, right?
Were on and the door was open.
The lights were on.
Right, the lights of the car were on and the door is open. When we say the door, we're talking about the driver's side.
That's correct.
Front door. Okay. Now my question is, before you got there, before anyone got there, was that door open? That front driver's side door to the Versa?
It's my understanding it stayed closed until the
Did he have any money in his pocket? Or any jewelry on?
paramedics or EMTs opened the door to check on the victim.
Okay. How about Mr. Drinks's feet? Were they on the brake?
I believe they were, yes.
How about the gas? Was 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the gas?
I don't recall that.
You don't know, or are you saying no, that's not true?
I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. And when one of your first tasks was to determine the identity of this gentleman, correct?
It's one of the first things, yes.
Okay, and you weren't the only one there. There were other officers there, correct?
That can't be true. Flores testified he had his ID on him.
Yes.
And among those officers was representative from the gang unit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Investigator Flores?
May have been.
I don't really recall his name because, he's not, one of my real brethren. So, I noticed, it was a guy there, but, I never really recognized him. Don't mind me. Sometimes guys come and you could barely see they were out there. It was nighttime. You gotta excuse me.
I don't recall.
Okay. Either way, even with the assistance of the gang unit on scene and all APD resources, no one recognized this gentleman, Mr. Drinks.
He was not officially identified until we did the fingerprint scan.
Right. And that was about 1:06 a.m. that next morning, correct?
It was while we were on scene. I don't know exactly what time it was.
Okay. Fair enough.
Conflicting testimony. Flores testified he had his ID.
Miss Hilton, if you could do me a favor, please. Could you publish... I'm sorry. Mr. Abadi said he was going to help me. You're going to help me with something else. Thank you. 107 Victor. Thank you, Miss Knight. Cell phone, do you see that cell phone in Exhibit 107, Victor?
Is it that one in the pocket there? Is that what that is? Yes, I see it. Oh, it's on his arm. I believe, yes. Plugged in.
Do you see that cell phone?
I did, yes.
Okay. As an investigator of homicides, do you often collect cellular phones?
Yes.
And that's from victims and suspects, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and reality is cell phones, if you're able to get into the cell phones and have authorization to get into cell phones, they have a wealth of information, correct?
Sometimes they do, yes.
They can have call logs. They can have contacts, correct?
Yes.
They can potentially have tracking information, who you're in contact with. Places you've been.
Yes.
You can learn a lot about a person from a cell phone, correct?
Yes, you can.
You can learn who their friends are.
Yes.
You can learn who their enemies are, potentially.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. In this case, as lead investigator, you are aware that actually 2 cell phones belonging to my client have been seized in this case, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And their contents have been extracted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Drinks, as lead investigator, did you ask the crime scene tech or crime scene tech Davis or any other individuals to seize or to collect Mr. Drinks' cell phone?
Yes.
Okay. And were you ever able to analyze the contents of Mr. Drinks' cell phone?
I don't recall that, no.
Okay. You don't recall ever seeing the contents?
No.
Okay. So as far as you recall, we don't know who is in Mr. Drinks' contacts?
No.
We don't know what he's been texting about leading up to this incident?
No, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. We don't know of anyone that he's had disagreements with or squabbles with or anything like that from his cell phone?
I'm not aware of any of that, no.
Okay, and you're not aware because not saying that none of that exists in his cell phone, but you just haven't seen the contents of his cell phone.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I want to talk to you about these videos, if that's okay.
Sure.
And Mr. Abate, I'm going to ask you to just be on standby in case I need to publish anything. Thank you. Detective, we have the BP video.
That's correct.
Several different camera angles.
That's correct.
Okay. Including outside of the pumps, inside the store from different angles.
That's correct.
Okay. We have the King's Liquor video.
Yes.
Surveillance video. And then we have the FedEx video.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's talk about the BP video first. And I'm not going to replay all the videos. You see my client, Shannon Stillwell, in the pink hoodie and pink hat, arrive in the white Audi, correct?
Yes.
In the white Audi that was rented in his name.
That's correct.
In the white Audi that he told Investigator Viverito on March 16th, yeah, that's the Audi I'm driving, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And it did have tinted windows, didn't it?
Yes.
All right. You see him arrive at the store, and then you see Mr. Comarvius Nichols arrive in a Ford Fusion shortly thereafter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nichols pumps gas.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Farley is an occupant of Mr. Nichols' car, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, they all enter the store. They're on video.
They was in the same car together.
Okay. Mr. Farley's wearing a Slime or Die shirt.
That's correct.
Okay, do you know anything about Mr. Farley's background or history?
No, sir.
Okay, do you know that he's a clothing designer?
No idea.
That he creates those shirts, those slime shirts, and sells them to the public?
Okay.
Okay. You were not aware of that before today?
No, sir.
Okay. So you see those three individuals.
Does he feel offended to you? You getting some type of, why should I be concerned about some clothes, some urban clothing line by some young punk. You getting that type of feeling or something?
Individuals go in and out of the store. First, you see, Mr. Nichols go up to the register with Mr. Stillwell, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And in these videos, in all these videos, you don't see anyone with a handgun or anything like that.
No, sir.
You don't see anyone that seems to be irate or upset, do you?
No.
Well, maybe some people in the store, but not these three individuals.
That's correct, yes.
All right. You see Mr. Nichols make a purchase and buy some gum for Mr. Stillwell, correct?
Yeah, he bought something for him. I couldn't tell.
Gangsters don't buy each other gum. True or false, cowboy? You ever bought your partner some gum? Tell the truth. Tell the truth. When the last time you brought a grown man some gum? Case solved. Keep it real, cowboy. You cowboy rules here. Don't lie. Don't lie with that hat in your hand. Come on.
Okay.
But yeah, he did.
And this is the first time Mr. Nichols was in the store, before he pumped his gas,
That's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
And you see Mr. Nichols joking around with the clerk, acting like he's pulling out all these bills.
Right.
And then you see Mr. Farley come in.
Yes.
And you see Mr. Stillwell turn around on Mr. Farley and act like a monster and kind of scare Mr. Farley. And Mr. Farley does this weird pirouette.
Right. Yes.
They're playing around.
That's correct.
He pirouette.
Okay. Everyone
Gangsta's pirouette.
seems, from the video, no one seems upset.
No.
Okay.
I would love
Later
to see
on-
Shardt spin around.
You see Mr. Nichols come back in the store to make another purchase, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what he purchases?
No.
You didn't get the receipt?
Miss Hilton, I'm going to ask if you could play the video of where Mr. Nichols comes into the store for the second time and makes a purchase.
It's getting heated, y'all.
Are you able to see what he is purchasing?
Pack of backwoods. 5-pack of cigars. What's the flavor, y'all? Let me know the flavor in the chat.
If you could play that. Are you able to see what?
Look like backwoods to me.
What he is purchasing.
It looked to me to be like some Black and Milds, maybe.
Okay.
That's a guess. I don't know.
Okay, appreciate that
Black and Mouse come in the box, sir.
answer, and I know that it's noted that it's just a guess. And you can stop. That's it. Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach with DS-56?
You may.
That boy don't do a lot of research on the urban culture, do he?
Sir, I'm approaching you with what's been marked as DS-56. Do you recognize that image?
Yeah, it's an image from the series of video we just watched.
Okay. That's a still image from the video we just watched?
It appears to be so, yes.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of the video we just watched? An image from the video we just watched?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, at this time I would move to admit DS-56 into evidence.
No objection.
It's admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may.
Could those be backwoods blunts?
Yes.
Okay, and when do you know what backwoods are?
So like a little cigar, isn't it? Something like that.
Okay, is it also something from your experience that can be gutted and used to roll a marijuana?
So that's why they was outside sitting in the parking lot. They wasn't waiting on homes. They was rolling blunts.
A blunt.
Yes.
Okay. How long, to your knowledge, if you know, have you ever seen anyone, we'll just say on video, through police, through detective work, have you ever seen anyone roll a marijuana blunt?
I'm aware of how it's done. I've never witnessed it.
Okay. It takes some time, correct? Depending on how experienced you are?
Yeah, I would assume it would, yes.
Okay. And is this purchase made right before Mr. Nichols returns to his car?
Yes.
When he's sitting there for like 4 minutes as idle, as Miss Hilton said?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, yes or no, whether what was going on in that car with Mr. Nichols was Mr. Nichols was sitting there using those backwoods to roll himself a marijuana blunt? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Shardt, don't ever call that a marijuana blunt again. I'd have kicked you out the cookout.
Okay, in the entire BP video, we see Shamal Drinks show up, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
If he was at my cookout and said that, the music would have stopped.
And again, no indication that anyone was expecting him to show up.
It'd have got hot. I'd have had to explain why I had him there. I'd have probably had to shut the party down. All party favors gotta get put up immediately. You feel me? The lights gotta come on. You heard? Like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. It just ain't gonna be the same no more for the rest of the evening. I'm gonna have to, yeah. Yo, you could go ahead and take the rest of that potato salad, yo, and that chicken. Go ahead and take that with you, bro. On me, bro. Straight up. Yeah, I know you came late. Yeah, it's my fault, bro. I brought my coworker Shardt, bro. Yeah, he got crazy, bro.
No.
Okay. While Shamal Drinks was present at the BP, he walks into the store, correct?
He does.
How many times does he walk in the store? Once or twice?
Just once.
Okay. And he makes a purchase.
Correct.
And there's apparently some other man on the video that's trying to steal some condoms or something.
Whoa.
And the clerk is having a problem with him, correct?
Yeah, there's a little kerfuffle.
Okay.
Sustained.
Do you see a man getting into it with the clerk?
Why would Hilton defend him? Why would Hilton defend condom here, y'all?
And then suddenly pulling condoms out of his pocket and throwing them back at the cashier.
I remember that interaction. I don't know his condoms, but yeah.
Okay. And then Mr. Drinks has some interaction with that individual, and they leave together at the store.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who that person is? The person that Mr. Drinks was interacting with?
Do not.
Okay.
Game over.
Have you ever interviewed the clerk about what was going on in the
Game
store?
over.
No.
Do you know who the clerk was?
We going home.
Okay.
We going home.
Throughout the entire time that Mr. Drinks is on the video, and quite frankly, Mr. Stillwell is on the video at the BP, Mr. Farley, or Mr. Nichols, do you see any interaction between Mr. Drinks and any of those three individuals?
No.
Do you see any hostility between Mr. Drinks and those three individuals?
No.
Okay, Mr. Drinks was having some hostility with the clerk, right?
He was observing that, but yes.
Okay. But not with these individuals. You don't see any mean looks or anything, do you?
No.
Okay. So then we go to the King liquor store video.
Gotcha.
Okay? And just to be clear, do you know how we have timestamps on some of these videos and no timestamps on other videos, right?
Yes.
Okay. The videos that have timestamps, and I understand that King Liquor and the BP are under the same management, right? You don't know?
Not privy. It makes sense, but
Okay.
I'm not privy to that.
All right, but do you have any reason to believe that the BP video, the timestamps would match perfectly with the timestamps, or they're perfectly synced up with the FedEx video, for instance?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, and do you have any reason to believe that any of these videos would be perfectly synced up with phone records or anything like that, like records held by Sprint or another phone company?
No.
In your experience as an investigator, businesses that have these surveillance systems, their times, you can get an hour of footage, but the time on that footage can be off, correct?
It can be, yes.
Okay.
Not set correctly, yes.
Okay. All right. In the BP video, besides the Ford Fusion, the Nissan Versa, and the Audi, did you note any other vehicles of interest that piqued your curiosity in the BP video?
No.
Okay. How about in the King's Liquor video when you see 3 cars driving up Windsor Street? Did you see any other cars that piqued your curiosity?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about the FedEx video. We do see the red Versa go up to the left lane, correct?
Yes, we do.
And we do see what appears to be the white Audi, and especially when you link it up with the BP video, end up in the center lane, correct?
That's correct.
And then we do see the white Ford Fusion end up in the right lane.
Yes.
And we do see the white Audi run a red light, don't we?
We do.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you know anything about the history of the attempts on Mr. Stillwell's life?
I do not.
Okay. You don't know that in 2015 a car gunned up behind him or sped up behind the car that he was in and riddled the back of that car with bullet holes?
Objection, he said he doesn't know about any attempts on Mr. Stillwell.
Sustained.
Have you ever heard the name T.R. Jones?
No.
Okay. Anyways, you see Mr. Stillwell run that red light in the white Audi.
I do, yes.
And then you see Mr. Nichols in the Ford Fusion run the same red light.
Yes.
Okay, cool. In that video, we see I'll get there in a second. Let's talk about LPRs. Detective Bender helped you with the LPRs in this case, correct?
She did, yes.
And you consider this an important part of police work because you're able to track the movements of specific cars.
Yes.
And you, at that time, felt that the white Audi was a suspect car, correct?
I did.
And you wanted to track its movements.
Yes.
And you thought the white Ford Fusion was a suspect car.
I did.
And you wanted to track its movements.
I did.
And Detective Bender was able to get you all that information about the movements of those cars, or I shouldn't say the movements, but different places in time and different times where the LPRs picked up those license plates throughout those 2 days that you ran them. I believe it was 2 days.
Yes. Whatever she found, she was able to identify the tag numbers and the cars and where they were. Yes.
Okay. As lead investigator, besides the Versa, besides the Audi, and besides the Fusion, Did you ask Detective Bender to run LPRs on any other specific cars that you may or may not have seen in any of those videos?
I couldn't ask her to run something I didn't see, and there was no other cars. No.
No other cars that piqued your interest?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. You were able to obtain the rental agreement for this Audi, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware that Mr. Stillwell rented this car on 3/14 at approximately 3 in the afternoon?
Well, let me check. Yes. That's correct.
And you are aware that he gave all of his personal information, his license, his signature, his phone number, his address. He appeared on surveillance at the Alamo. He did all those things while renting that car.
Yes.
And you're aware that in the early morning of March 16th, which would be 2 days after this incident, Investigator Viverito and Investigator Flores spoke to him in the back of a police car after the house he was in was shot up, correct?
Yes.
And they took pictures, right?
Yes.
And you're aware that he told Investigator Viverito, yes, that's the car I'm driving.
He did.
And you're also aware from the Alamo records that later on March 16th, 2022, he actually called Alamo to extend his rental on that car until March 20th, correct?
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. Could you look at your investigative summary, if you would? And I'm going to refer you to page 19.
Okay.
Okay, does page 19, it's page 19 of 25.
Yes. Yeah, at the very top you're talking about?
I'm about 2/3 of the way down. Do you see a notation, 16 March 2022, 1337, Shannon wants to extend the rental or the rent?
Yes, I do see that.
Okay. And then at 1337, they talk about a rate, and then Shannon agrees.
That's correct.
Okay, so under your theory, my client appeared on video at the BP with this rental, is on video shooting man out of the driver's side of this rental, and then 2 days later is telling Investigator Viverito, that's my car, right?
Yes.
And then also later on March 16th, seeks not to get rid of this car, but to extend the rental.
It appears so, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, let's talk about gunshot residue. You testified earlier in this case, and we talked a little bit about gunshot residue, right?
Yeah, we did.
And you said you got to be careful about gunshot residue because of the false positives.
Right, yeah, you could be
Okay.
anywhere in the room. If a gunshot goes off, we all in here would have gunshot residue on us.
Right. We're talking about microscopic particles.
That's correct.
That are expelled out of a vehicle, out of a firearm when a firearm is shot.
That's right.
Okay. And these particles are expelled in a way that you just said, if someone shot a gun in here, we could all have gunshot residue on us.
That's correct.
Okay, and that would be unfair if I shot a gun to say, well, you have gunshot residue on you, because that would be a false positive on you.
That's correct.
Okay, but gunshot residue does detect if a gunshot was fired in the area, correct?
Yes, it's evidence of that a gunshot was in the area, right?
All right, especially in fabrics and cloth and things of that nature, correct?
That would make sense to me, but I'm not an expert on it. But yes.
Okay. Well, those type of materials would not be subject to something like hands, where you could sweat the gunshot residue off, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in this case, that FedEx video that you viewed, we see traffic lights, right?
Yes.
We can see brake lights, correct?
Yes.
We can see headlights, correct?
Yes.
What we don't see is a muzzle flash, do we?
No.
Okay. Now, you testified about shell casings.
Yep.
And you said you looked all over for shell casings on the scene.
We did, yes.
And shell casings are the cartridges that are expelled when a gun is fired.
That's correct.
Okay, and there were at least 2 or 3 shots fired just from looking at Mr. Drinks' the red Versa, correct?
At least, yes.
Okay, so you were looking for 2 or 3 or possibly more shell casings on the road, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you didn't find any?
None.
And your conclusion was, of course, maybe you missed them. That's always a possibility. But the other possibility, as you stated in direct, is the person who's shooting the gun didn't put the gun outside of the car where you would see the muzzle flash. The gun was actually inside the car when it was fired, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and certainly if the gun is inside the car, that would cause gunshot residue to be spread throughout the car.
You assume so, yes, sir.
Including the headliner, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You decided to collect the headliner.
Say again?
Well, let me ask you that because I don't know that for certain. You worked along with CS crime scene technician Antoinette Green to process this car, correct? The car being the Audi. Mr. Stillwell was arrested on March 17th.
I'm trying to recall, because it's not in my report. I knew you were going to, but I don't. Do you have anything to refresh my memory? Do you have a crime scene report with my name on it? Because I don't.
I don't have anything written by you, sir.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, but let's try to work through this. On March 17th, you know that Mr. Stillwell was arrested on the warrant state. That you brought on March 16th.
Yes.
Okay, and he was arrested in Atlanta. He wasn't in another state or anything like that, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And when he was arrested, he was actually still in the white Audi that he had extended the rental for, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the Audi was collected as evidence, correct? Brought to police impound.
That's procedure, yes.
Okay. Are you not aware that crime scene technician Green, do you know who Antoinette Green is? Is she a crime scene technician with APD?
Yes.
Are you aware that she processed that car?
I don't recall for sure. I know I've done several cars with her before, but in this particular case, I don't recall being with her to process the car.
Understood.
This particular car.
Do you recall a headliner was collected in this case, correct? You do know that?
I do not.
You don't know that the headliner of the Audi was collected as evidence in this case and analyzed?
It makes sense that it would be, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't recall that, no, sir.
In your experience, your expertise as an investigator, a homicide investigator, a headliner would be a very appropriate piece of the car to collect, to check for gunshot residue.
Again, yes, sir. It makes sense. I'm sorry, I don't recall.
And it should have gunshot residue in it if a gun is fired from within that car, correct?
If it has not been cleaned, yes.
Okay. All right. Do you know, as we sit here today, whether or not a GBI analyst tested that headliner for gunshot residue?
Do not.
You don't know what the results are either, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. You took out warrants on March 16th, 2022 at 6:39 p.m., correct? For my client as well as Mr. Nichols and Mr. Farley.
Yes, well, 6:40 p.m., but yeah.
Okay, 6:40 p.m.
On the
And that was
16th, yeah.
And that was right after, or shortly after, you had that conversation with Investigative Viverito in police headquarters, where she identified the people that were in the BP
That's
video.
correct. Yeah, her,
Okay.
the Sergeant Belknap, yes.
So once you had an identification from the BP, that's when you move forward with the arrest warrants against Mr. Stillwell.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to talk to you about your analysis of the FedEx video. You have your report in front of you, correct?
I do.
Okay. At the time that you swore out these warrants against Mr. Stillwell, you had never even viewed that FedEx video, had you?
I don't think I got that till afterwards. I did speak with a representative who described it to me and sent me some still shots.
Okay. And I'm gonna go to page 14, going into 15 of your investigative report.
Okay.
On page 14, going to 15, you write, as of the writing of this report, and this report was written on 3/20/22, correct?
Well, that's when I started it, but yeah.
Okay, so you started this report 4 days after you you obtained the arrest warrants for Mr. Stillwell.
That's correct.
You started this report 4 days after that. Okay.
Yes.
And-
This part, now I had notes and all that stuff, but yeah.
Understood. And you say, as of the writing of this report, the actual video from FedEx has been requested via a subpoena, but has not been received. The above pictures were sent to me by a FedEx corporate officer who told me that he had watched a video which shows that the two white cars pulled up alongside the red Nissan, forming a straight line across the road. And then suddenly the two white cars sped away against the red light and the red car stays in place. That's verbatim from your report, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your report is accurate to that fact.
It is, yes.
You, at the time of writing this report, and certainly at the time of bringing out warrants against my client, you had not watched that FedEx video.
No.
But you had spoken to someone at FedEx corporate that sent you some still pictures, correct?
That's correct.
And had told you what they felt they saw on that video, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Who was that FedEx corporate officer who analyzed this FedEx video?
I don't remember.
Do you know that person to have any law enforcement training?
Not familiar with it.
Okay. Do you know how many times that person watched that video before giving you his or her conclusions about what the FedEx video contained?
No.
Okay. When did you finally receive the FedEx video?
I don't recall exactly when I got it.
Do you remember what month?
No, I don't remember.
When did you remember when you first watched that FedEx video?
I've seen it several times, but I don't remember when I first saw it, no.
Was it months after bringing out these arrest warrants on Mr. Stillwell?
No, it wasn't months. It was a few days probably.
Well, a few days would have been 4 days afterwards you started writing this report, and you didn't even have the FedEx video then. So could have been longer than a few days before you watched the video?
It could have, yes, it could have been.
Okay. And of course, you brought those warrants on March 16th, 2022 without any gunshot residue results from that white Audi.
That's correct.
You said you saw a car in that video, the FedEx video. Miss Hilton, could you play the FedEx video for me? Thank you. And it can be 101:20. We can start. It's fair to say you saw a car making a U-turn on the video and you saw it was a little odd.
Yes.
It piqued your interest?
Well, it just, yeah, it did. I wouldn't say it piqued my interest. It just went with the situation, I guess.
I think you said you thought, on direct, you testified, you thought that the person driving that car may have heard or seen something, correct?
Yes, I did.
And the reason you say that is because that person driving that car abruptly made a U-turn.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready when you are. It's not me.
Oh, I'm sorry. If we could go to 101:20. Yeah, just. That's that's the red Versa pulling up, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that would be the white Audi.
Yes.
And that would be the white Fusion pulling up on the right lane, correct?
That's correct.
Yo, how we don't know that he ain't get hit before he got to this part of the camera and he was still driving. And then he went out at the light. Like, is there any evidence to prove that it didn't go down like that? Like, meaning somebody else could have hit him before he got to this section?
That's not the car that makes the U-turn, is it?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay. And Mr. Stillwell is now running the light. He's no longer there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We see now this car pulls up.
Oh. Somebody open the door?
We see he's no longer there, correct? Mr. Stillwell is...
Oh.
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay. And, Mr. Stillwell is now... running the light, he's no longer there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We see now this car pulls up.
Now the brake lights go. How his foot just hit the brake light now, y'all. Look.
Now we see.
Watch.
Now this car pulls up.
You seen that? It drift forward again.
Now this car
And the brake
pulls
light
up.
hit. Look.
It makes it interesting.
As the car turned around. Y'all peep that? Don't pay attention to the car coming to the screen. Look at the car up here. Look. Watch.
We see. Now this car pulls up.
Drift forward. Brake light
Makes an
hit.
interesting U-turn, correct?
Yes, sir.
Scratch that.
Your
Look.
interpretation is maybe they did that because they may have seen or heard something, correct?
Maybe.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Brake light again.
And Ms. Weinstein. Redirect.
That's the person that smoked them right there. Or somebody got out the car and got in another car and then it drove away. That's not the person that called the police, is it? So what was all that interaction, y'all? What was all that interaction? Look, peep this car.
No, sir, I don't believe
Another
so.
car that car peeled. That car gets up out of there.
Is
Boom.
now running the light. He's
All
no
right.
longer there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We see. Now.
Yeah,
this
somebody
car pulls
walking.
up.
If they heard the gunshots, would they have kept going that way?
It makes that interesting U-turn, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your determination is maybe they did that because. Now this car pulls up. It makes that interesting U-turn, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your determination is maybe they did that because they may have seen.
I can't make that one, y'all. I
Now,
can't make out
this
that car
pulls
right
up.
there. All right. Let's go back to this
Well,
action right here with this
now
car right
running the
here.
light,
Pay
he's
attention.
no longer there, correct?
Watch this car.
correct.
Watch both
Okay.
these. All right,
See.
boom. Allegedly Stillwell and them gone. Both of the white cars gone, y'all.
Now,
Peep the
this car
interaction.
pulls up.
Scratch that car. Look.
It makes that interesting U-turn, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your determination is maybe
Watch.
they did that because they may
Why
have
did that
seen
car sit
or
there?
heard something, correct?
Look.
Maybe.
Now it hit the brake and
Okay.
go. Look now. Did somebody just run over there? Yo, the brake lights hit again and that car moved forward. Did somebody? Look, watch.
Correct.
Maybe.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
And Ms. Weinstein.
Now that
Redirect.
car speed off too. Straight through the lights, same way.
I actually want to start right here at the FedEx video. Was there anything in the video, once you actually watched it, that was inconsistent with what you were told by the FedEx person?
No, ma'am.
In the video we just watched, prior to Mr. Stillwell fleeing into the red light, was the white Fusion and the Audi stopped for a moment before fleeing into oncoming traffic?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Shardt asked you a number of reasons as to why a person may rent a vehicle. Do you remember him asking you that?
I do, yes.
Or why they may put tint on a window. Do you remember him asking you a series of questions?
Yes.
Can a person place tinted windows on a rental car to conceal themselves in an attempt to seek revenge on the person that they think may have killed their two friends 3 days before?
Yes.
What?
Mr. Shardt asked you a series of questions about whether or not someone may be rolling a blunt in a car or things of that nature. Do you know if while they were sitting in the car, both the individuals in the Audi and the individuals in the Ford Fusion, if they were maybe talking to each other in the car? Do you know if they were doing that?
I do not know.
Do you know if the people in both cars were on FaceTime with each other?
I do not know.
Do you know if the individuals were in the car planning at that time to kill someone? Do you know if that was happening?
I do not know.
Mr. Stillwell, the Audi was backed in. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And if the Audi was backed in, did they have the vantage point of seeing Mr. Drinks when his car pulled into the gas station?
Yes.
Okay. Did the Audi, because it was backed in, have the vantage point to see Mr. Drinks as he walked into the gas station?
They did, yes.
Did the Audi, because of his vantage point, see when Mr. Drinks left the gas station and got back into his car?
Yes.
And was it the Audi that immediately pulled off once Mr. Drinks' car pulled off?
Yes.
And then the Fusion followed?
That's correct.
And that was the same vehicle in which Mr. Jackson, it appeared, was the driver?
That's correct.
Mr. Shardt asked you a number of questions about the facial features of, I think, both Mr. Nichols and Mr. Stillwell while they were inside of the gas station. Do you remember him asking you a series of questions about that?
Yes.
Do you know what their facial expressions looked like while they were in the tinted vehicle?
No.
Do you know if, as they saw Shamel Drink walking into the car, that their facial expressions changed from what they looked like inside of the BP gas station?
I think we're getting to facts, not evidence. It's complete speculation at this point.
Sustained.
Now, I want to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 118 BV. And I'm going to go to 9:49 p.m., the read. And does that read say Windsor Street and Richardson Avenue?
It does, yes.
And is that location that's not too far from the BP gas station?
That's correct, yes.
And at what time is the Audi passing the LPR reader on Windsor and Richardson Street?
9:49 with 6 seconds.
And Mr. Shardt asked you whether or not the surveillance video camera times are accurate. We're looking at this time here at 9:49 and looking at the surveillance video timestamps, especially at the BP. Would that help you determine if whether or not the BP gas station video was accurate or not?
Yes.
Okay. And based on looking at both the LPR reader and the timestamps on the BP video, are those times, do they seem to be accurate?
They seem to be similar, yes. They're not exact, but they are similar.
Okay. And about how far would you say the Richardson and Windsor is from where that BP gas station is?
Not far. It kind of depends on traffic and the light, but anywhere from a few seconds to a minute or two.
Okay. Now, Mr. Shardt asked you about the headliner and gunshot residue. Do you remember those series of questions?
I do.
If a car is cleaned, could that remove any GSR that may have been in the car?
From what I understand, yes.
Yeah. It can, but
Now,
that's
looking at the BP video and FedEx, did any other car besides the white Audi and the white Fusion that immediately followed the red Versa, was there any other car that immediately followed the red Versa out of the BP gas station?
No, ma'am.
Were there any other cars that pulled up right next to the red Versa outside of the Audi and the BP and the Fusion?
No.
Was it after the Audi and the Fusion pulled up right next to the red Versa, and after they left, the red Versa just sat there for about 27 minutes?
That's correct.
The damage on the red Versa, is that all on the driver's side on the passenger side of the red Versa?
That's correct.
And is that the side of the vehicle closest to the driver's side of where the driver's side of the Audi would have been?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Shardt asked you a number of questions. Why would someone keep the rental car, or why would they say that the car was their car with a car with a name? Do you remember some questions similar to that?
Yes.
At the time in which Investigative Rita was speaking to Mr. Jackson at the house that got shot up, had you and Investigative Rita talked about your investigation?
No.
Had you shown Investigator Viverito your surveillance video at the time that she was talking to Mr. Stillwell at that house?
No.
Prior to talking to Investigator Viverito, did you know that there was a white Audi at a house that was recently just shot up?
No.
Did you know that Mr. Stillwell was in a pink Floyd shirt prior to talking to Investigator Viverito while she spoke with him at the house that got shot up?
No.
Did you know that Miles Farley was with him at the house that just got shot up in the same clothes prior to talking to Investigator Viverito?
No.
Were you ever made aware of an individual by the name of Demekion Garlington was also at the house along with Miles Farley and Shannon when Investigator Viverito spoke with them?
No.
With the red Versa, did you ever learn if that was a rental car or not?
No. It was. I don't believe it was. I believe it belonged to one of his family members.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
I believe it belonged to one of Mr. Drake's family members. The red car. I think, if I recall right.
Did the Versa have any tinted windows?
No.
Court's indulgent for one moment.
Let me know in the comments what y'all think. I think Shardt got him, y'all.
Mr. Shardt asked you about Mr. Stillwell's conversations with Investigative Rito at the home. Do you remember him asking you about the conversation Mr. Stillwell had with Investigative Rito when she met with him at the house?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did Mr. Stillwell ever tell Investigative Rito why he had tinted windows on a rental vehicle?
No.
You know,
Did he ever tell Investigative Rito why he put tints on the car within a few hours of renting the vehicle?
Objection, Your Honor. That's not enough.
Sustained.
Mr. Shardt asked you about seeing a muzzle flash at the light. Did you see any muzzle flashes at all on that surveillance video?
I looked for him, couldn't see any, no.
But was there still a deceased individual sitting at that light once you arrived on the scene?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any knowledge if Mr. Stillwell told Investigative Rito when he put those tints on his vehicle?
I do not.
I have no further questions.
Request.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. You're excused. I believe y'all got one more witness.
He's going to be long, but we can start.
What?
We can start him, yes.
He's gonna be long, is what she said, we can start.
How long?
About an hour and a half.
To an hour and a half. Wish y'all had kept a shorter witness. Okay, I guess we'll stop for the day. I mean, I don't know who the witness is.
Is the sexy vampire?
Who?
The sexy vampire.
Yeah, y'all. What y'all think about Shartt's
All right.
job?